I know I already made a post live reaction regarding my thoughts about the Miss Universe Philippines finals night last Saturday night, but I can't help but share more what I feel about it, this time with more emphasis on the girls this time around. So totoo lang guys, there were the ones who really elevated the show after the production encountered so many technical problems while running it. Hence, I truly applaud these contestants for coming up with performances that thrilled us to no end. No doubt we feel so connected with them because we were able to follow their respective journey to the crown. So this content is all about evaluating their performances and highlighting their strong connection with us during the coronation night, just as how PLDT Home Fiber keeps us all connected with their fast and reliable internet service. So let's begin with the swimsuit competition. I honestly feel it's the best swimsuit presentation in recent years just because of the production values employed with it. The waves, nakita nyo, splashing in the background gave a summer feel to the whole segment. The teal color against the girls' tan skin were a sight to behold. The robe and or the capes naman were were something that added fluidity to their movements as if it was like they were splashing water on stage. So I definitely love it. Now, let's go over some of my favorite performances during the segment of this competition. First, I really feel both Krishna Gravides and CJ Opiasa killed it in this round. They were smoking with their performances here. Krishna was such a joy to watch here as she was such a natural. Ang lakas-lakas talaga ng aura niya dito. She looks smashing and she finally got her styling right last Saturday night. And CJ, of course, diba? She worked it. There was nothing more to nitpick. She's really in a league of her own when it comes down to her pasarela skills. The sarong play totally complemented her sassy moves and it looks so fluid with the way she handled it na she was really giving us a show. And I also love Samantha Panilio's performance here. I just love her subtle restraint or her controlled aggression, as one of my followers says, with her pasarela. Hindi kikil but still comes out with a smooth, suave, or a clean pasarela. Next to Samantha, I also like Kaisa's walk here. I just love how she does her turns every time she walks. There's a command or energy in her walk as she does her fluid facial transitions. The hip sway was very sexy too. Diba? I even liken her walk to Pia. It's very energetic, it's very sassy, may character. And I also like Parañaque's catwalk here. She was also a standout here. Her fierceness was brimming it as she worked that cape. Now let's go to their evening gowns, and here are some of my favorites. Agusan del Norte came out with a gold sheer cutout serpentine gown with a high leg slit and cape embellished with crystals and champagne gold beads, and I thought it was okay lang. The high cut was really sexy and the hairstyling was something that did not really wow me. For me, she was more impactful with her preliminary evening gown. I thought the gold colored dimmed her shine here. Now let's go to Bohol naman. Well, I thought Pauline wore a gown that was so reminiscent of Oksana Fedorov's gown. I kept shouting Oksana on my seat as she walked down the stage. I never thought that she could actually look so good in a white flowy gown. Maybe it helped that she was perfectly styled here, so she was really looking damn gorgeous in straight hair. Now, if you ask me if it wowed me at the same time, I might have to say no, as she had already worn this kind of gown during the charity gala show a few days before, so the surprise factor is no longer there. And then Angelique Manto came next, and she was wearing this Frederick Policarpio gown, emerald green gown, which I feel is a standout. This color emerald green gown with an outer neckline and cascading beaded pattern with opera gloves was so striking. It really looks so beautiful on her. And I'm really impressed with Angelica. She was able to outdo her preliminary gown performance a few days before. Dito mo talaga makikita na she really has flair for fashion. Now, after Angelique Manto, after Angelique Manto came Michelle D, and she wore this black Mark Baumgartner number with a sweetheart neckline and knee-high slit, which I feel was a stunning creation for her. The moment she came out talaga, guys, I swear my jaw dropped talaga on my seat as she had this glow as she walked down the stage. This gown really brought out her divine elegance and sophistication, a world away from her edgy gown styling last year. Promise guys, hindi ako nagbibiro. Kinilabutan talaga ako sa upuan ko while watching her here. I never knew Michelle could still thrill me despite being underwhelmed with her styling choices for the past outings this season. I know some of you are not really sold on her performance here with her catwalk and facial expressions, but she carried herself while modeling this gown well, and I feel that's what made her win the Best in Evening Gown award. Now we go to Krishna Gravidis' gown, which I feel is also a knockout one. Finally, she got her styling right. Krishna looked sensational in the see-through Rian Fernandez gown. As in, I really gasped the moment she came out. I really feel her team reserved the best look for her come finals, and it really worked. The black slide paneling matched with a rhinestone encrusted bodies made the look sexy as it gave us an illusion of a thinner waistline, and it felt like she was already competing for Miss Universe na she was channeling Miss Dominican Republic here. Ganun kalakas ang appeal niya dito on stage. And now we go to CJ Opiasa. Wow, I thought this gown is a gown that I did not expect that I would enjoy looking at, and it's because it has a surprise element to it. Who knew the red draping could work as a cape for CJ to execute her signature cape play? And I thought that was so genius of Mac Tumang to really consider or even highlight CJ's strength. However much as I adore CJ's showmanship here, I think the cape play was already too much as she did it towards the end of her presentation. Yung paghampas-hampas ng cape niya is kinda going against the elegance of her gown, in my humble opinion. But other than that, everything was smooth. The execution and transitions of her walk were very clean, and it felt like I was already watching CJ compete in an international competition. Now we go to my next favorite gown, and I'm giving it to Irish Ramos. Irish gown was also a gown that I really like. It was a sunset-inspired evening gown which featured a sweetheart serpentine gown with slit embellished with beadworks and various color hues which made her a standout. I thought she looked luminous here. Parang akala mo parang Miss Vietnam. Yung mga gowns reminiscent of those that you see from Miss Vietnam pageants. Ganun siya kalinis. The straight hairstyling work on her too. Bagay din pala sa kanya. And now we go to Samantha Panilio's gown. Wow. When Samantha chooses a gown, trust it will always be spectacular. This sparkly lavender gown was a really perfect fit for her. However, for some reason, she wasn't able to work on her gown as she looked flustered the moment she came out on stage. Like, I don't know what happened, and it was so evident on her body language. The confidence suddenly wasn't there, and I can't explain why. There was just something off with Samantha in this segment, and I can't really explain. I thought she could really duke it out in the top 5, but unfortunately, it was a missed opportunity for her. Now let's go to Eamon's gown. Am I the only one in the minority who feels Eman did not shine in this gown as I watched her perform again? For some reason, her performance kind of fell flat for me because we have already seen this kind of performance from her where she will stop on one knee and slowly do her twirl. Like, for me, there was no wow moment for me, not to be honest. And I also would like to note that the pair of heels that she wore here was so huge, which I felt made her walk slower. Now let's talk about Rain Hilary's gown from Sorsogon. I think she was struggling to finish her walk after she stepped on a hemline of her yellow gown. I wish the gown had a slit for her to be able to walk freely on stage. And nakita nyo naman, the lady has so much potential, and it's just so hard to see her struggling while walking in that dress. Hence, if she decides to make a pageant comeback, I would love for her to wear a design from Anthony Ramirez, because I feel these creations from Anthony Ramirez has always had good colors because the designer has a good eye on color. The construction kasi of Anthony's dresses are always well executed, so it would have given Rain a different attack. The color yellow was okay, but I feel white could have been a better option for her to make her skin tone stand out, as I feel para siyang Maria Isabela Guerrilla noon, kung ganun ang color niya. Now let's go naman to Parañaque, and I feel her gown here was a head scratcher. She was doing it right all along, channeling her inner fierceness until she came out in this soft pink dainty gown which did not complement her fierce demeanor and styling. It was so confusing to watch her here. And I wish she wore a Francis Libiran instead, because his soft creations would have worked for her. It was just really a missed opportunity for her. Next, we go to Klaisa. I really feel she should have tapped a designer to sex her up in this segment of the competition. Her blue gown fell flat for me. It wasn't able to elevate Klaisa's frontrunner status and at the same time her aesthetic. If you study Klaisa's face, there is just something innocent with her face. So she could have gotten away with a gown sana that would have given her a Paulina Vega moment. Na alam mo yon, just like Paulina, na Klaisa has a very maamo or endearing na mukha na may katawang babaeng babae. So for me, a boom sason gown could have worked for her to highlight her curves, to complement her energy and glow on stage. And finally, we go to Prey Marcos's gown. I feel she wore a beautiful gown at the wrong pageant. That sky blue gown was more like a Miss International for me. Her presentation was, kasi her presentation here was very princessy and sweet, which is a world away from a confident walk that we normally associate with a Miss Universe contestant or a title holder. Hence it was really a missed opportunity for her as well. Now let's go to the Q&A round. There were 2 rounds of Q&A in this competition, and I must say I applaud the Miss Universe Philippines organization for coming out with a difficult set of current events questions that tested the wits and smarts of the top 5 ladies, and I must say all of them really rose to the occasion. For this segment of the competition, I really have to give the both rounds to Michelle D, as she had the most educated and classiest replies to all the questions thrown against her. She was smart, napansin nyo, in answering all these questions, as nung una she talked about quality education to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor of our country, and us Filipinos ourselves being the best that we could offer to the world. And I thought that was a very smart and sensible reply. Both the context and deliveries of her answers were spot on. Na she sounded neutral. She even ended by sounding neutral by addressing the government to act on this situation, and hit a home run with the Pinoy and Universe words on her answers for her second question. Next, we go to Paulina Man, who gave heart-warming and sincere answers to her questions. Her first question was a very difficult question, but she responded by being an anchor of hope for all Filipinos who are being subject to online exploitation. And I feel she also did well on her second question by saying our warmth and hospitality are our best assets. Actually, at this point, I really felt Michelle and Pauline were neck and neck in this round, but Michelle won the 2 rounds for me just because her answers had more impact in the end and got the audience standing up for her after she delivered those answers. Ganun ang nangyari sa MOA. And next we go to CJ Opiasa, and I thought she was a revelation in this round. I didn't know CJ could be this good when it comes to Q&A. It even came to a point where she sounded preachy on her second question, but there was no mistake about her confidence in answering her question. So ganun talaga ganun talaga tayo napabilib niya sa Q&A niya. Now, same goes to Krishna Gravides. I also applaud her for standing her ground in tackling trans women competing against naturally born women in sports. I really admire her in this portion for having the courage to go against the route of giving a universal answer where she could have agreed with the proposition at hand, given the fact that a transgender is now the new owner of Miss Universe. And while I would have preferred for her to give a universal answer, I appreciate her honesty and candor about this topic. Na naramdaman mo talaga na it was one topic that she was able to research during her training, so she was able to come out with a sensible opinion. However, I also wish she could have expounded more on it at the same time, especially when she talked about the right measurements that need to be done to address this particular topic to come out with a more impactful answer. Now, when it came to her second question naman, I like how she chose kindness in reasoning out her case. And while it was an answer that I did not expect, she was still able to expound it based from her experience. So no matter what we felt about her answer at that time, it was very simple and heartfelt for Krishna. And lastly, we go to Angelique. She really killed her first round question, but kind of missed the mark on her second question, where she related her mental health advocacy to a tourism laden question. So I get her second runner up finish. So we begin with Krishna Gravides. I am now slowly beginning to think Krishna could do well in Miss Charm next year. Kasi di ba pagalingan at padramahan din ng pasarela doon, as she is a perfect fit there. And having this kind of pageant experience internationally, it would be an advantage for her, because I see Miss Charm as a lucrative pageant that would open more doors for her. Siguro after the pageant, and while she's still young, I think she could join another pageant again. Polish herself more para makilala pa niya yung sarili niya, at lalong lumawak pa yung fan base niya, just because not just here but also all over the world, because I really have a gut feel that we might get our first Miss Charm crown next year courtesy of her. And now we go to Pauline Amelings. Di ba sa Miss Supranational nowadays, it is now leaning towards facially gifted girls, and ang ganda-ganda ng rehistro ng mukha ni Pauline. Siguro at this point, if there is something we would like for Pauline to work on, is that she works on her attitude, because I feel when I see Pauline on stage, she is always soft, kind, and warm on stage. Gusto ko naman ma-develop naman niya yung konting angas o yabang with her facial expressions in terms of how she does her pasarela, na nakita naman natin, 'di ba? Kasi kung at the same time na nakita rin natin dito sa MUP for her third time, her body transformation gave so much confidence about herself, because let's face it, she really faced a lot of scrutiny before. She was body shamed, and I really feel talaga if Pauline plays her cards well, she will really give us a high placement in Miss Supranational this year. Iba talaga ang kutob ko sa kanya, because Pauline registers someone who is very authentic, and what I know is that Supranational organizers digs girls who are really authentic. And lalo na with a huge fan base, nako, lalong aalagwa talaga si Pauline with all these Supra Chat online votings. And now we go to Michelle D. No matter what her detractors are saying, Michelle deserved to win this title. She won fair and square. Why do I say this? Because she really studied the competition. She knew what activities to put effort in, and took notes what the organization likes. Like case in point, her gown. She knew in her heart what the organization wanted. Yung executions niya, kung napansin niyo, napag-aralan niya, nakita niyo, kalmado lang siya, at di masyadong nagpapasabog ng mga photo shoots, unlike last year. Now, if you notice, she was working more on her relatability and advocacy. Kasi in my humble opinion, the recipient of the Best in Long Gown Award in MUP, upon close observation for the past 4 editions already, is someone who does not necessarily have the best Vava Voom gown or the best pasarela skills. It's more about who carries her gown confidently and elegantly on stage instead. And with Michelle's case this year, she was able to bring that out of her, and we can't deny her that. Like last year, she was edgy with her styling, yet she still won Best in Evening Gown. So nakita niyo yung drastic changes with her styling, and yet she still won. So this alone, we can finally applaud her for her versatility, for coming out with different looks, which for sure will be of great advantage to her come Miss Universe in El Salvador. And second point, check out her communication skills. I guess it comes from the fact that she is already an actress by profession. So she is already at ease in front of the camera and comfortable speaking in front of the public. Na unlike her competitors na masyadong kinakabahan, 'di ba? Ng konti. And when she answered those 2 questions during the finals night, the context and deliveries were great. She started strong, ended strong, new words knew the words that she needed to stress and gamitin under that 30-second time frame. So she was really smart para huliin ng mga kiliti ng mga manonood by using keywords like Pinoy, universe, and kita mo naman, and kita nyo naman 'di ba sa Q&A, 'di ba? Talagang pinagtuunan talaga niya ng pansin. So it was really her forte. Na alam mo yon, throughout the season we keep underestimating Michelle for her catwalk, for her attitude on stage, but she keeps rising to the occasion, and I think she has what it takes to bring us back to top 16 for now. All she has to do is work on her pasarela skills and improve her game.